15 months ago, a Chinese AI lab wiped $1 trillion off the US tech market in a single day. Well, today, they might have just permanently broken Silicon Valley's monopoly. In this explainer, we're looking at the newly released data on Moonshot AI's Kimi K2.6. This is a model that is actively hunting down giants like GPT-5.5 and Claude 4.7 right on their own home turf.
And this brings us to a massive existential question. Is the moat for Western AI companies completely gone? Think about it. What exactly happens when a free open-source AI outcodes the absolute most expensive proprietary models in Silicon Valley? And gets this, what happens when it does all of that without relying on a single Nvidia chip? The stakes here are absolutely massive. We are looking at a potential paradigm shift in how AI is built, priced, and deployed globally.
All right, let's look under the hood. We are dealing with a 1 trillion parameter mixture of experts, or MOE, architecture. The sheer scale here is absolutely crucial to understand. We are no longer talking about some simple text generator that's going to help you draft your morning emails. This is a massive open source monster that literally acts as a fully autonomous engineering department. It's built specifically for long horizon tasks, meaning it can manage complex, multi-step projects totally from start to finish. Section 1. The benchmark reality. Let's dive right into the hard data. Now, OpenAI's GPT-5.5 still holds the crown for raw general intelligence, boasting an AA index of 60, and Anthropic's Claude 4.7 completely dominates as the premium standard for software engineering, hitting 87.6% on SW Bench. But look closely at Kimi K2.6. It just hit an intelligence index of 54, making it the absolute greatest open source model ever made. And in coding, it's hitting an incredible 89.6% on live code bench, matching and in some cases even beating those proprietary giants. Section 2. Rise of the Agent Swarm. 300. Now, when a traditional Western model fixes a bug, it usually reads a single file or maybe a small batch of context. But Kimi K2.6 spins up 300 parallel sub-agents. These agents work simultaneously to map dependencies across incredibly complex environments like Rust, Go, or Python. It essentially deploys this massive digital workforce to map every single variable across your entire system, all at the exact same time. 4,000. This number is a real testament to Kimi's unprecedented stamina. This model can run for 12 hours straight, executing over 4,000 simultaneous tool calls entirely on its own. It maps dependencies, it runs test suites, and iteratively debugs entire repositories. And it does all of this with zero human intervention required. None. So let's ground this in a real-world developer story. Someone threw a messy 300,000-line legacy SAS code base at Claude 4.6, and the result? Claude totally hallucinated a fix and actually ended up breaking 2 entirely separate services. But then Kimi K.6 took that exact same code base. Instead of guessing, its agent swarm traced the entire pipeline, mapped the complex Rust and Python dependencies, and perfectly fixed the root database mismatch. We have officially moved way past theoretical benchmarks here. And it doesn't stop at back-end debugging either. This model comes packed with native vision-to-code capabilities. You feed it a simple text prompt. K2.6 then goes out, leverages image and video generation tools, builds out these rich, aesthetically polished front-end animations, and then finally wires up the database and authentication entirely autonomously. It is quite literally building complete software ecosystems from scratch. Section 3. The 97% price collapse. Check this out. Claude 4.7 costs roughly $5 per million input tokens. Now look at DeepSeek V4 Pro, which is another frontier Chinese model. It costs just 30 cents. Guys, that is a 97% price collapse. Western companies are charging these massive premium API prices, while new open source models are offering top-tier performance for literally pennies on the dollar. That API pricing moat, it is evaporating right before our eyes. And here is the fascinating geopolitical reality driving this whole economic shift. These wildly disruptive models are being trained and served entirely on domestic Huawei Ascend 950 silicon. The US hardware embargo simply has not stopped this progression. Chinese labs are completely bypassing those hardware limitations by pioneering these incredibly highly token-efficient architectures. Section 4. The post-chatbot era. Now, before we declare total victory for open source, we absolutely need a reality check here. Consider this highly technical question from user on Reddit. How does the context degradation look around hour 8 when it's juggling 2,000 plus tool calls? Does the swarm stay coherent or hallucinate ghost files? It is a brilliantly vital question. Running a 1 trillion parameter model locally isn't just magic, right? It requires a massive hardware farm. Without serious compute power, you will hit context degradation. So the hardware barrier for local execution is for sure still incredibly steep. So, what tools should you actually be using right now to navigate this? Well, for general enterprise use and hard reasoning, you'll want to stick with GPT-5.5. For premium budgets where you require the absolute safest standard encoding, Claude 4.7 is still your go-to. But for high-volume agentic workflows where you really need to slash budgets, it's time to switch to DeepSeek v4. And if you actually have the local hardware farm to support massive autonomous debugging, Kimi K2.6 is the most powerful tool in the world right now.
All of this brings us to a major takeaway of this explainer: the post-chatbot era. We're talking about a fundamental shift from utilizing AI as a conversational interface to deploying it as a management interface for an autonomous engineering department. We've got to stop judging these models purely as high-powered chatbots. Developers today want a digital workforce, and because open-source models are finally delivering that exact capability for free, the traditional API pricing moat is effectively destroyed.
The landscape of artificial intelligence has fundamentally changed. The gap between East and West hasn't just closed, you guys, it has shattered the established rules of the game entirely. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you switching to open source agent swarms, or are you sticking